The Cincinnati Bengals have been on a hot streak recently. Right now, they are 4-2, and they recently beat the Lions. They blew them out. Do you believe in this Bengals team to make the playoffs, or are you still holding out some caution?
I'm like 60-40 right now. I want them to make the playoffs. I think they can make the playoffs. It's the AFC is tough. You got the Raiders, the Broncos kind of fell off, but then you got the Chargers, you got the Chiefs, then you got the Ravens, you got the Bills, then you got Buffalo. It's a lot of teams, and I think the Bengals, being that they're in a division where two other teams that are in that division are really good teams, can be really good teams on any given night, in the Browns and the Ravens, and the Steelers are still hanging around, winning games here and there. It's going to be tough, but I think Cincinnati, with that high-powered offense and the fact that Jamar Chase is blossoming into that number one, you still got Tyler Boyd, you still got T. Higgins, that underrated defense. The defense is playing at a really high level. And then Joe Burrow being one of those guys that can win possibly comeback player of the year. I think it's definitely in the realm. I wouldn't even be mad if they didn't make the playoffs, because it just bulks up the team. They have cap space, and it gets them ready for next year, even bigger year. This is still a really young team. But I think they definitely have a chance to make the playoffs. But that division is so tough with Pittsburgh, Baltimore, and Cleveland. That's going to be games that they have to win. Yeah, especially against Cleveland. The Ravens, they didn't even play them yet. So those are going to be tough games. But I think they can make the playoffs.
I think they will make the playoffs. I think that obviously I'm taking the Ravens over them, but I look at the Steelers and I look at the Browns right now. Bengals are a little bit more put together than the rest of those two teams. Obviously, we've seen the Browns be, to a degree, decimated by injuries, and Steelers, it was a matter of if Big Ben was going to be solid enough to keep them afloat. They're 3-3, sure, but I'm not fully confident in them. Obviously, I'm not a huge fan of their secondary, as I've stated before. Their pass rush is still solid, obviously. TJ Watt's like that, but you look at the point differential in the AFC conference right now, they rank third right now. I want to say they're plus 37. Next closest is plus 16. This defense has been playing surprisingly well. I say surprisingly because going into the season, I didn't think too highly of their defense. Shame on me. Their defense has been pretty solid. I expected this offense to be this solid, of course. You have Jamar. T. Higgins has been in and out of the lineup. Tyler Boyd has been solid. Obviously, Joe Mixon, they're obviously giving him the touches that are deserved and earned, he knows what to do with the football. This offense has been high-powered, and the question was their offensive line, and Joe Burrow, to a degree, has been able to stay composed, stay solid in that pocket, make solid throws. The O-line's holding up relative to what we had expected coming into this season. I think they're I wouldn't say a threat, obviously, in the AFC, but I think that they are stamped to go to the playoffs. You look at the teams right now that are in the wild card. You have the Raiders. I'm not a believer in the Raiders, even though they did just handle my Broncos.
Teams have been handling your Broncos for
That's a fact. We're on a 3-game skid, and it hurts. But I'm not a huge believer in the Raiders, truthfully. But who knows how things could switch, given that this whole John Gruden information, that maybe that could spark the team. I'm out on them personally. I don't think the Steelers are real, too. I don't think that they'll make the wild card. I think that if any team's going to sneak in that division, I think the Browns will get there eventually. I just think they have more talent on their side. And then I look at the Kansas City Chiefs, and obviously I think that they're going to continue to climb. I think that the Chiefs are probably going to make the wild card, given the fact that I do think the Chargers will win the division. But you never know with the Chiefs. The Chiefs could just go and win out. That's how good, obviously, they've shown to be in previous years. So I'm obviously not down on them. But that leaves 2 spots. And I think that Bengals are going to be more than qualified to steal a spot.
It's too early to try to make a prediction on this because there's too many good teams in the AFC.
That's a fact.
Right now, division winners as of today, Ravens, Bills, Titans, and Chargers. One wild card spot automatically is going to Kansas City. They're gonna make the playoffs. There's no doubt about that. They're still making the playoffs. Now that leaves about 5 teams, and I'd even mention the Steelers, and I'm not going to mention these Steelers at all in these teams. The Raiders, who I think with Derek Carr playing at the level he's playing at, he's playing great. I think he's second in the league in passing yards right now. I love Derek Carr. Now that the defense is manageable, like Max Crosby's having a breakout season.
No
He's
doubt.
an elite edge rusher right now.
I'm with you.
And Yannick Ngakoue, they've been amazing. That duo has been amazing. I'm not counting out the Raiders. The Broncos, I'm out on you guys.
I understand.
I'm out on the Broncos.
I understand.
I don't think the Broncos are going to do anything.
All right.
Like they haven't beat a team that has over one win this year.
He doesn't have to drag it. He doesn't have to drag it. We know.
He needs to.
Yeah, I get it.
The other team is the Browns. I think the Browns right now are dealing with some injuries. Baker's hurt too. Who knows if Case Keenum's going to play, but they have announced that Baker's going to start or at least try to start on Sunday or this Thursday actually.
Yeah, against us.
Yeah, well, that you can win that game with those injuries on the team.
Von Miller, 3 sacks.
So I think the Browns are there too. The Colts, I won't sleep on them either because I think the Colts are a very good team as well. The Colts are 2-4, I believe, now that they just beat the
Dolphins.
They just beat the Dolphins, and this past game they beat.
Damn,
was it the Texans?
It was the Texans. Yeah, it was some no-name team. But yeah, they could easily be 3-3 right now if they beat Baltimore. Don't blow that lead. So there are so many good teams, and on top of that, Carson Wentz is playing. He's playing great right now.
He has.
I trust the Bengals over the Browns, though, for the simple fact that I think Joe Burrow is a better quarterback, even if they're both healthy. I like their weapons more. I don't have to worry about a connection, like with Odell and Baker and what's happening there. And the Browns' defense is embarrassingly bad. And they made a boatload of signings this offseason. John Johnson, Troy Hill, even drafted Greg Newsome. Their secondary is awful. Like, their safeties give up big plays. They don't tackle well. I saw 2 Browns players try to tackle DeAndre Hopkins, both like side to side. Pick your direction. There's a guy in front of you. DeAndre Hopkins made them both miss and then scored. Their defense is just embarrassingly bad right now. Myles Garrett and Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah have been the only bright spots, in my opinion, on that team, and Denzel Ward, but not much after that. I actually trust the Bengals' defense more than their offense.
They have a good defense.
Yeah, they do. Their defense right now, they're 13th against the pass, 8th in rushing. DJ Reader, BJ Hill, that defensive tackle duo, they're Stonewall. Sam Hubbard, who's a speed rusher from Ohio State, and Trey Hendrickson, who had a breakout season last year. I think the Bengals didn't know this, but I guess it just was lucky of them that they paid Hendrickson and they didn't pay Lawson, even though I think Lawson's a better player, but Lawson got hurt this year. He's out for the Jets. He hasn't played a snap, and Hendrickson is making plays for the Bengals. And this guy doesn't get talked about enough. Chidobe Awuzie, former Dallas Cowboys cornerback.
Yep.
He is the best corner on the Bengals right now. He is playing lights out. He's going to be a household name at corner at the end of the season. And, man, if Dallas had him with Trayvon Diggs and both of those guys, they would be a damn good secondary.
Would be.
Their defense is awesome, but I just can't buy into the offense because too many times it stagnates. There are multiple drives and multiple possessions each game where the Bengals don't score. They go 3 and out. There's bad play calling. There's miscommunication. They're not a potent and fluent offense.
They're young.
I think Jamar Chase has helped a lot in that aspect because whenever things are not going right, whenever things are looking slow,
that's a fact.
A big play happens for the Bengals. It's usually because of a Joe Burrow pass to Jamar Chase, and it sparks up the offense. But versus the Lions, they scored 10 points in the first half, I believe. If it wasn't 10, it was 7. And the offense dragged the entire half. The second half, they got going. But against better teams, I don't think that can happen. I don't think they can drag that much. And Joe Burrow, he's been very good this season. Has he been amazing? I'm not going to say amazing. I think he gives them a chance to win each week because he makes the right decisions and the right plays. But right now, the problem that I see with him, he's very inaccurate on high throws. I mean, he's very inaccurate, and they're usually high. He's high on throws a lot, and one of his interceptions was because he was high on a throw. He should have had a second interception, and it was because he was high on a throw again. So I think that's the problem with the Bengals, and the good things about the Bengals right now, I can't say they'll make the playoffs just yet, but if I was a Bengals fan, I'd be feeling really good about this season.
So do you think they can, like, out of the top teams in the AFC, do you think they can beat any one of those top teams?
No.
Like none of them?
I don't know. I'm not ready to count that out.
Tennessee?
Yet. They could beat Tennessee.
The run defense is good enough, but I would trust Tennessee in that matchup.
I'm saying they can beat Tennessee.
But it depends because I think their vulnerabilities match what the Bengals are good at, and that's secondary versus receivers. Titans don't have a great secondary. They have a bottom secondary.
And they just lost Caleb Farley, torn ACL.
Yeah,
bro.
and
Christian
Fulton is on IR. So they match up very well against them. But I would just take the Titans for the experience. But I don't see them beating the Ravens. We'll see that this Sunday. What happens? The Bills, the Chargers, the Chiefs. There's a lot of good teams, but the Bengals are in that bubble right now that they're about to take that leap. But I don't know if it's going to be this season, but they're about to take that leap.
They got Ravens twice this year, so.
Chargers defense these last couple of weeks, yikes.
Yeah, they can't stop the run.
I'm out on the Bengals making the playoffs. I don't think they're gonna make it. I was checking their schedule. They had the 5th toughest remaining schedule remaining in the NFL.
Okay.
I think that this team's a year away from making the playoffs. Their total offensive rank, I know they're 21st in offense, and then defensively they're elite. But I just look at this schedule remaining, and if they're gonna make the playoffs, they're gonna have to beat a lot of good teams to get there. This is one of the hardest schedule remaining from this point on. Mm-hmm. So I think that's gonna really test them, see what type of team this is, what type of if this team is really ready. I personally don't think they'll be ready, but I was looking at their schedule and I kind of found something really interesting. You guys were talking about the Browns and the Bengals. I think that last week, they're going to play it last week. I think that last week matchup will be for the
playoff
last
decider?
Yes, will be for the last spot. And if all the chips are on the line, I'm going to go with the Browns.
Really?
I think if the Browns get healthy, I think they're the better football team. Offensively, too, if Baker Mayfield come back healthy, they get Odell, but everybody comes back healthy, I still think the Browns are better. Chubb and Kareem Hunt are out too. I just think if everybody's healthy that last week, I think that last playoff spot. I think, yeah, me too. I've always liked the Browns, but I think that last game of the season is going to be the deciding factor who gets in the last spot of the wild card between the Browns and the Bengals, and I'm going to choose the Browns.
The Bengals play the Browns and Ravens 2 times.
Tough.
They also face the Raiders. They face the Steelers, the Chargers, the Niners, the Broncos, and the Chiefs.
Tough schedule.
All of the teams that they play are the teams they're going to be going up. They're going to be competing against for those wild card spots.
That's a lot of teams, bro. Like a lot of good teams.
No, I know that's what I'm saying. That's the 5th hardest. That's crazy to me. That's the 5th hardest remaining schedule. That to me would be number 1 or number 2.
Against their real test in the Packers, their kicker was somewhat good. They win that game, but it also can be said if the Packers kicker was good. Obviously, Mason Crosby had been solid, but he just had a hiccup that day. But they could have beat the Packers. They had a strong chance to beat the Packers, so it's not impossible to say that they could steal a few of
very
these.
well with them.
If the Colts kicker makes that kick, we look at Lamar Jackson completely different.
That's true. That's pretty true.
I'm also with you. I think the Colts are, their record doesn't suggest it right now.
They're going to be in the mix.
They've played
a good
tough
teams.
Team.
Yeah,
played the Ravens, played the Rams, played Seattle when Russ was there for sure.
Yeah, they're a good team. So I mean, I don't know. I'm just not sold on the Bengals yet. I think they're a year away.
And last thing, we can move on. You said you'd take the Browns right now. If
in
that week, that's what I'm saying. If they're all
okay.
healthy, right? I'm saying right now you would take them.
Uh-huh.
If Chubb and Hunt are there healthy together, it's a hell of a game.
Yeah,
it is a hell of a game.
Yeah.
But let's
say
the
Bengals aren't slouches on defense. This is the 8th ranked defense in the league.
Let's say they have to rely on Baker to win them the game. I'm going Bengals.
Tough.
I can't trust Baker.
I like the Browns, man. I really do like the Browns.
And Burrow just has something about him, the way he carries himself. I trust Joe.
I trust Baker.
You trust Baker?
I can't.
I don't know. I don't know if you could go in and let me say you trust Bake, bro.
I trust Bake, bro. I like Bake, bro.
Bro, think about the one time that he's been called on this season against the Chiefs. What did he do? He rolled over.
Bro, don't do that to him.
Bro, I'm sorry. I have to.
They're going to get in. Cleveland's going to get in the playoffs.
I think they will get in.
I think that
final game is going to be the deciding factor who gets in.
Cleveland's going to be good.
Because I think Baltimore, to me, Baltimore is winning the division.
That's a lot.
I mean, you're still sold on their defense.
The defense is up and down.
Their defense is ass.
Whose?
I mean, their defense is ass. But
they got some good cornerstones, though.
But your favorite, your favorite team you love to go about, the Vikings, couldn't do a damn thing against that defense.
That's a fact.
Couldn't do a damn thing. Couldn't do anything.
Have to do with the Browns defense, though?
Because their defense is spotty. They have games where they show you that.
I feel like
they're elite.
I feel like that's Baker Mayfield too.
They have games where they show you that's elite.
Because Baker Mayfield shows up in that last week with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. I think the Browns are going to.
And for the first half,
the Browns are going to win.
The first half, the Browns defense was playing amazing against the Chiefs.
The Vikings, that was the only game the Browns actually, the defense showed up.
I hope it comes down to that,
that was the only game it happened.
Though.
Nah, I mean, first half of the Chiefs.
I hope it comes down to that, though. As a football fan, I hope it comes down to that.
Because right now, the Vikings, they started off 0-3. I said they was going to come back. They're 3-3 right now.
You said it was going to division, though.
We'll see.
He said, we'll see.
It looks shaky. It's a look
No,
shaky.
honestly.
They're too
We play the
inconsistent.
Cowboys next week.
But
It's going to be a
this-
good game.
The week against the Lions was shaky.
Yeah,
this
yeah.
past
You
week
should-
against
like, you
Carolina
should-
was
yo,
shaky.
yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, I
what's
love the
wrong.
Vikings, but my misevaluation on the Vikings was that they have the youngest coaching staff in the NFL. And I think that means
that
something.
matters.
Inexperience, I think that inexperience means something. I still think they'll get into the playoffs, though, but we'll see.